Okay, so let's talk about the ending of the play. It's a very controversial ending and has been, as some audiences, especially like when it was first released, were so unhappy with the ending that they demanded Ibsen rewrite it. So some productions actually have Nora coming back through the door. But the way it was originally written, she walks out, and that's the end of their marriage. We don't know what happens to her after that, but whatever it is, it's by her own decision. But let's rewind a little bit first. So we have to talk about this awakening that Nora has in Act 3 when she all of sort of everything's out in the open. All her intents and purposes, her lies have all been sort of exposed. Helmer has reacted, and this is when Nora has a kind of awakening about her marriage and herself and everything in her life up to this point. So she is ready to make some changes in her life, and she's going to do that following this event. So this is sort of this whole experience has been a really huge turning point or change in her, and she's going to live her life differently from now on. And it means leaving her husband and her children behind and going off into the world and discovering herself for the first time and really discovering what life is all about as an individual. So very controversial for a woman to make that kind of a decision. You know, it would still be a very controversial decision for a woman, a wife and a mother, to do that even today, to leave her family. So you can imagine how controversial that scene would have been for a more, traditional audience when this play first came out. So Nora's character, she intends to sort of leave her husband, leave her children, and then to experience life for herself for the first time. So first she sits her husband down and lays it out for him why their marriage is not working, and why she views him differently after seeing his reaction to the letter. So we'll watch the clip and then discuss some of what shifts have occurred in her perception of herself, her marriage, and her husband.
Very late. Come and sit down. You and I have a lot to talk about.
What is it? Why are you looking?
Sit down here, Torvald. This will take some time. I have a lot to talk to you about.
Frighten me, Nora. I don't understand you.
That's just it. You don't understand me, and I have never understood you either. Not until tonight. No, you mustn't interrupt me. You must just listen to what I say. We're going to settle things now, Torvald.
What do you mean by that?
Doesn't anything strike you? Sitting here like this.
What?
We've been married for 8 years now. Hasn't it struck you? This is the first time that you and I, husband and wife, have talked seriously to each other.
What do you mean, serious?
Well, for 8 whole years, no, longer actually, ever since we first met, we have never exchanged a serious word on any serious subject.
That I should be telling you about my worries all the time? I mean, you wouldn't have been able to help me with them
No,
anyway.
no, I'm not talking about worries. What I'm saying is that we have never sat down seriously together to try to get to the bottom of something.
Oh, would you have been interested in doing that, Nora?
That's exactly the point. You've never understood me. I have been greatly wronged, Torvald. First by Papa, and then by you.
The two of us, the two people who've loved you more than anybody?
You've never loved me. You just thought that it was fun to be in love with me.
Oh, what a way to talk.
Well, it's true, Torvald. When I lived at home with Papa, he used to tell me what he thought about everything, and so I thought the same. Or if I didn't, I used to hide it, because he wouldn't have liked it. He called me his doll child, and he used to play with me the way I played with my dolls. And then I came to live in your house.
What a way to talk about our
What I
marriage.
mean is that I passed from Papa's hands and into yours. You arranged everything according to your taste, and so it became my taste too. Or I pretended it did. I don't really know which. Or both, I think. First one, and then the other. Looking at it now, I think I have lived here like a pauper. From hand to mouth. I've lived by performing tricks for you, Torvald, because that's the way you wanted it. You and Papa have done me a great wrong. It's because of both of you that I've made nothing of my life.
Reasonable and ungrateful can you be? I mean, haven't you been happy here?
No. I've never been that. I thought I was. But I never really have been.
Not happy?
Just cheerful. And you've always been so kind to me, Torvald. But our home has never been more than a doll's house. I've been your doll wife here, just as I was Papa's doll child at home. And the children have been my dolls in their turn. I thought it was fun when you played with me, just as they thought it was fun when I played with them. That's been our marriage, Torvald.
There's something in what you say, however exaggerated and hysterical it might be, but things are going to be different from now on. I mean, playtime is over. Now is the time to be brought up.
For who to be brought up, for me or the children?
Both. You and the children, my darling Nora.
No, Torvald, you're not the man to bring me up to be the right wife for you.
You say that.
And as for me, how am I capable of bringing up the children? Well, didn't you say yourself just now that you didn't trust me to do that?
Yes, in a moment of rage, but you mustn't pay any attention to that.
No, but you were perfectly right to say that. I'm not capable of it. Something else has to happen first. I have to bring myself up. You're not the man to do that for me. I have to do that on my own. That's why I'm leaving you now.
What did you say?
I have to be on my leaving you now.
What did you say?
I have to be on my own if I am to get to understand myself and everything outside. That's why I can't stay here any longer.
No, Nora.
I'm leaving straight away. I'm sure Christina will put me up for the night.
This is madness. You're out of your mind. I won't let you. I forbid it.
It's no use you forbidding me anything anymore. I'll take what belongs to me. I don't want anything of yours. Either now or later.
This is madness.
Tomorrow I'll go home, to my old hometown, I mean. It should be easier for me to find something to do there.
You poor, blind, inexperienced creature.
I must see that I get some experience, Torvald.
But you're leaving your home, your husband, and your children. And haven't you thought what people will say?
I can't think about that. I only know that it's necessary for me.
This is outrageous. You're betraying your most sacred duty.
What do you consider my most sacred duty to be?
Do I have to tell you it's your duty to your husband and your children?
I have another duty just as sacred.
You have not. What could that be?
My duty to myself.
First and foremost, you are a wife and mother.
I don't believe that any longer. I believe that first and foremost, I am a human being, just as you are, or at least that I must try to become one. Oh, I know that most people would say that you're right, Torvald, and that it says something like that in all the books, but I can't go on accepting what people say and what it says in books. I have to think things out for myself so that I'll get to understand them.
But don't you understand that your place is in the home? I mean, don't you have something you can rely on for guidance in these matters? Religion.
Torvald, I don't really know at all what religion is.
What are you saying?
Well, I don't know anything except what Pastor Hansen told me when I was being confirmed. He said that religion was this and that and the other. When I get away from all this and on my own, I'm going to have to look into that as well. I must find out whether it was right what Pastor Hansen said, or rather, whether it was right for me.
If you haven't got your religion to guide you, then let me stir your conscience. I mean, you must have some moral sense, haven't you? Or perhaps you haven't. Answer me that.
Well, it isn't very easy to answer you that, Torvald, because I just don't know. I really don't know what I think about all that. All I do know is that you and I think quite differently about things like that. And now I'm told that the law is quite different from what I thought, but I simply can't get it into my head that the law can be right, that a woman doesn't have the right to spare her old and dying father, or to save her husband's life. I simply don't believe that.
You think and talk like a child. You don't understand the society you live in.
No, I don't. But
say that.
Well, it hurts me to say it very much, Torvald, because you've always been so kind to me, but I can't help it. I don't love you anymore.
And you're very certain about that too?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. That's why I can't stay here any longer.
Can you tell me what I've done to forfeit your love?
Yes, I can. It was tonight when the most wonderful thing of all didn't happen. Because then I saw that you're not the man that I thought you were.
Please explain. I don't understand you.
You see, for 8 years now, I've been waiting so patiently because, for heaven's sake, I know that the most wonderful thing of all doesn't happen just any old day. And then this shattering thing happened to me, and I was absolutely certain. Now, the most wonderful thing of all is going to happen. You see, all the time that Krogstad's letter was lying out there, it never occurred to me that you would give way to that man's conditions. I thought with absolute certainty that you would say to him, let the whole world know about it. And when that had happened...
Yes, after I'd abandoned my wife to shame and disgrace.
When that had happened, I thought with absolute certainty that you would step forward and you would take it all upon yourself and say, I am the guilty one.
Nora.
What do you mean? That I should never have been willing to accept such a sacrifice on your part? No. Of course not. That goes without saying. But how much would my word have counted against yours? That was the most wonderful thing that I was hoping for and dreading. And it was to prevent that I was willing to end my life.
Nora. I would gladly work night and day for you. I would endure sorrow and deprivation for your sake. But no man will sacrifice his honor for the one he loves.
Hundreds and thousands of women have.
You think and talk like a foolish child.
All right. But you neither think nor talk like the man I can share my life with.
So Nora has somewhat of an awakening, an epiphany, when much truth is revealed to her. So as we saw in that scene, she kind of lays it all out on the table for her husband, and they talk for the very first time about the realities of their marriage. So certain things are discussed. The fact that they've never had a serious discussion in the 8 years that they've been married is one of the moments of truths that are revealed. So they've never sat down as equals and had a serious conversation about life. So this is something that has been missing. She believes that Helmer never really loved her. He just was sort of in love with the idea of her, or of being in love. And then she also acknowledges that both her husband and her father have mistreated her in this way by not acknowledging her as an individual with her own thoughts, her own feelings. And this is where the doll comes in, right? The doll is a kind of symbol. So she sees both men, her husband and her father, treating her kind of like a possession for their own amusement, but not respecting her individuality, her autonomy, and her own thoughts and feelings. And she also has this epiphany that she's not equipped right now to bring up her children. She's not educated herself. She has to bring up herself first before she can educate children how to be strong and assertive and independent. So she says, I need to educate myself. So this is where she's going to go out into the world and learn, experience things, work for the first time, and really almost in a parallel to what Christine or Mrs. Lind had to experience, really take care of herself on her own and become more self-supportive or self-reliant. And she no longer believes in the duties of being a wife and mother first. She sees now the importance of her life is that she needs to become a fully developed human being. She's also no longer in love with Torvald, and this is sort of she can't see their marriage continuing as it has been. So unless they make some sort of changes, both of them together or separately, and then come together later, she says only then can there be a real marriage of our lives together. So when they've both separated and the miracle of miracles occurs, which is a kind of, we can interpret that. So what is the miracle of miracles that has to occur for both Nora and Helmer to be on equal ground in an equal marriage? That would have to occur for them to be reunited. So as it happens right now, Nora's awakening it could be interpreted as a kind of feminist awakening, breaking free of the constraints placed upon her by her father and her husband, and then really becoming her own person for the first time. She does experience this as a kind of epiphany moment.
What is it? Why are you looking?
Sit down here.